Hi friends, it's Kayla Moran and welcome back to the Let's Get Candid podcast. How's everybody doing today? Happy Thursday, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever day or time it is that you're listening. So happy to be back on the mic with you guys. Wow, what a week it has been. I can't tell you how much I need this therapy session right now. I actually really do need to go back to therapy. I'm not emotionally at the bandwidth where I can handle that right now. I just feel so overwhelmed with work. And I filmed a TikTok today. For some reason, TikTok lately does not give me the time to write a caption and put hashtags before it posts anything that I create. So I posted a TikTok today rambling about how I'm feeling and my overwhelm with work and my career choice. And of course, it's not getting any views because there's no caption or hashtags to it, so I will link it below. And basically, I don't even remember what I said anymore. It has been a crazy day since I recorded that, but I'll link it below so you guys can listen. But basically, I just feel like I'm very grateful for the ability to have the career that I do, a career that I chose to be my own, and then also be learning from someone who has built a very successful business for themselves in personal injury, even though that's not the type of practice that I want to have. I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot about litigation, a lot about myself as a lawyer, and the legal system, the process, managing clients, managing people. And it has been a really great learning curve for me in the last 6 months. But I just feel overwhelmed at the fact that I'm just emotionally drained because it's not the type of work that I want to be doing. And I've learned that if I don't enjoy what I do, I don't get a lot out of it. And it really is difficult for me to want to do it. And that has been something I've been really struggling with lately. I talk about more on that TikTok. Go check it out if you want to know more. But basically, the last 2-3 weeks have been really emotionally draining because of that, while simultaneously also the last month and a half being some of the greatest weeks of my life. I truly feel like I am coming into my own and I'm trusting my gut and trusting myself and listening to what I want and putting myself first for the first time, I think, ever. And it's really hard for me. I've never thought I was a people pleaser, but I am a giver and I give so much of myself to everyone. And I finally was doing things that I wanted to do for myself in the last few weeks. And I just feel really drained at work because it's not what I want to be doing, but I know that it's necessary and it'll be worth it. And yeah, that's where I'm at, but I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. I had a great time at the influencer event last week. I had a good time with my friend Claudia, and it was so great doing yoga on the beach. Honestly, such an underrated move. Early morning workout at the beach with the sunshine, the waves crashing. The teacher was super fun and engaging, and honestly I had such a great time. It set up my weekend perfectly. Even though I had to work all throughout the weekend, I got to see friends, I got to see family, got to watch the Tennessee game even though we lost, which I'm really salty about. It was a really good weekend and that set it up perfectly, and I want to get back into moving my body because it felt so good. And I realized I actually do enjoy yoga if the teacher is fun and engaging. I don't like the serious yogis like that. Those kinds of classes are too intense and they're not my vibe, but having fun with it really makes such a difference. And I want to do that more. So that's something I definitely want to add to my life when I have the ability to afford going to a yoga class or a Pilates class, because I really enjoy those workouts. And this week I'm going to the Miami Open with my family. I'm really excited. I love the Miami Open. I don't really know much about tennis. I don't truly understand it, except for reading Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid and learning a lot more about it. Great book, by the way. And my uncle's a tennis coach, but he's never taught me and I've never tried to learn. And I really should, because it would be a great business sport, but I think I'm more of a golf girl. And I'm not that great at it either. But I do love going to the Miami Open. It'll be fun to go on a date with my parents to the Miami Open. And I'm just really looking forward to another weekend in Miami. Hopefully the weather is great and I don't have to work as much as I did last weekend. But I'm doing a lot better today than I was, or I'm a lot better now than I was earlier today, and definitely than I was last night. Taking the learning curve is hard, and someone today asked me if I think my first year of practice or my first year of law school, which one's harder. And I honestly can't answer that because I think they're both difficult in their own ways. They're both an adjustment, and you can't compare them because they're just two different beasts entirely. But I do think that it will be worth it, just how law school was worth it, and I know that I will be a better human, better person, better attorney because of this experience, so I'm really grateful for that. With that, I wanted to do a quick suck and sweet of the week. My suck of the week is that I just don't like this feeling. I don't want to feel this way anymore. I really enjoy feeling happy and light, and like I don't have to be so defensive all the time and on edge. And while for the most part everything else in my life is going really well, I just don't want to feel on edge. I don't want to feel like I have to be on all the time. I want to be able to trust myself and let go and trust that it is all going to work out, because deep down I know that is true, and I do believe that. I just want to be a little bit more trusting and a little bit more patient. And that's something that I'm going to be working on for the next few weeks. I think just knowing that it's okay to be hopeful, but also being realistic and just trusting that it's all going to work out and that this is serving a purpose, and truly reminding myself of that, because it's easy to get lost in, even though deep down I know that it's true, because I wouldn't be where I am today had I not gone through everything that I've gone through, and every choice that I've made has led me to here, and I'm really damn proud of them. And my sweet of the week is that I feel like I'm cultivating a really great group of friends, and it's just been really nice to have people that I can go to when I am struggling this way. And the more friends that I make, the more people that I meet, because I'm being social again, I'm going out, I'm meeting people, and I'm just having a lot of fun right now. I may not have a lot of free time, but the little free time that I do have, I'm making the most of it, and that has been a whole lot of fun. And I'm also really excited to be back in the influencer game. I've been struggling with, should I make an account for my law firm? Should I promote it on my personal, but I also want to be an influencer still? How do I navigate? And I decided to just go ahead and make an account for my law firm so I can continue pursuing brand partnerships and sharing fashion and beauty and lifestyle and content that just feels more me on my personal account, and share the law firm content on my law firm account and share it on my personal here and there. But I want to have a place specifically for that and cultivate that community as well, and just have it as a marketing strategy for myself. So I'm really excited to get back into events and working with brands and sharing things that I love just because I love them. And that was my outlet growing up, and that was my outlet in college and in law school, and I want to get back to that. One of my friends asked me what are my hobbies, and I was saying social media is my hobby, and he was like, well, but that's work now at some point. You know, you need to go back to having hobbies that are truly hobbies. And while that is true, and I do need to find hobbies that are just for the sake of fun, I do really enjoy social media, and I want to make it fun again. And I hope that lately I've been doing that, and I want to do more of it. So yeah, that's how I've been doing, and I'm really excited for this week's episode. It's always a good time connecting with friends. Gigi and I met, and we used to work at Rella together last year, and now she has her own agency. She's a social media manager, she has an influencer manager as well, and she is growing so much. And I think it's so cool what she's doing, and we talk all about how she got started, what the story is behind her name, Girl Socially, and how to get started if you want to start a social media management company, because that is such a hot topic. And I think there's just such great info and tidbits and a lot of fun here. Fun fact, she lives in Tampa, where my brother lives, and the bar exam in Florida is in Tampa. And I was staying at a hotel for a few nights I stayed with my brother the last night, but I got to see Gigi the night that I got into town. We went to dinner together, and it was a great way to ease into the bar exam and just get away, disconnect, and talk about fun and, just gossip and have a good time before I knew that I had to dive into the bar exam and mentally buckle down and prepare myself for that. And it was honestly the best thing I ever did was spending time with a friend and playing with my brother's puppy before and after the exam, and just going for a walk. I took myself for a walk along the riverfront in Tampa, in downtown Tampa, and it was exactly what I needed. And yeah, I really enjoy Tampa. I'm having a lot of fun visiting every time I do go, and I'm sad that my brother's moving back home because now I don't have an excuse to visit Tampa anymore. But it was really cool to connect with Gigi again in person and now connect with her on this podcast episode and share her story with you guys because I think it's really cool and I think you're going to get a lot out of it. If you like this episode, please leave a rating and review. Please subscribe to the show, share with a friend, tag us as you're listening. Let me know who you want to see on the podcast, what topics you want to see next, and of course, just say hi and come chat with me and let me know if you want to hear more about me, anything that's going on, content you want to see on my podcast, on my blog, on my TikTok, on my Instagram, anything that I can do to be of service to you guys. I always want to do that, and I love that I get to share my life here with you guys and be a support system to you. So thank you guys so much for listening. I will talk to you guys next week. Meet Gigi. So, Gigi, what's something people wouldn't know about you just from following you?
That's a good question. I think that people don't know that I'm like multi-passionate or there's like multiple layers to me as a person. I think on my social media, and it's not a bad thing, I come off as like just very one layer, I guess. It's like very bubbly, sweet. Okay, cool. Like what else? Like what are her hobbies? Like probably just whatever. Who knows? But there's a lot that I want to do and accomplish, and there's just like so much more about me that just meets the surface level. I think I give off this vibe that I'm kind of all over the place a little bit, but I think I'm like honestly the most like organized, structured person. But that people don't know that from like just meeting me, especially on social media. That's definitely not the vibe that I give off. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm the same way. I feel like people think, and I'm like, I'm a hot mess. But because I want you to see the behind the scenes that I am a hot mess, but like I do have my life together too because I have systems and processes in place, and you're very much
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I don't know. And like I think like I've asked like my friends too, like they are just like, oh, like when we met, I just thought you were just gonna be like a really nice girl. Okay. Which I want to be a nice girl. Let's just put that out there. Like I don't want to be like this mean
I'm
person.
the one that gets that you were such a bitch when I met you. I'm like, so
So they're
intimidating.
like,
I'm like, well, I be.
no, I'm just like, you're just so nice. And I'm like, well, thanks. But they're like, I didn't know that you would like, I don't know, for example, like I love Harry Potter. I love reading, I like sometimes going out for a drink, I like watching shows, like now I'm really into Pilates, like there's just so much more. And I love having like really deep, meaningful conversations with like my girlfriends. Like,
Yeah.
and we're like, hey, what's the meaning of life? Like, what's the, and you're like, how did we get so like personal and like, I don't know. But there's just a lot more to me.
Yeah.
Than what meets the eye.
And as there should be, and it's kind of cool that we can like social media is a highlight reel. We choose what we want people to see, but then we get to keep things for ourselves, and like there's a side of us that's private for our in real life friends and family. And
Yeah.
I love that. Like I am 100% who I am online, who I am offline, but there's more to me offline too. And
100%.
love that. And no, I'm the same way. I'm very multi-passionate. Have you ever done the human design? Like, do you know your human design? We talked about that.
Yes. Yes, I do. I'm a manifesting generator. I think you are too, right?
What's your profile?
A 2-4.
Okay.
Is that the number?
Yeah, I'm a 3-5, which is the Great Life Experimenter. Like I'm literally meant to be a serial entrepreneur, which like some of my ideas. Like I just I'm not meant to do just one thing. I'm meant to try a bunch of different things and have a bunch of different businesses and hobbies at different times in my life. And like you can't put me in a box. So
Yeah.
I love that you're kind of like that too. I don't know what's 2-4. I don't know what they're.
It's the easy breezy genius. So also with being like the manifesting generator, I actually had a call with someone that was on your podcast like a few months ago. Kara.
Oh yes,
I like had a
I forgot.
Yeah, I had a session with her, so that's how I kind of like have a deep dive of it. And so I am multi passionate, whatever. And then what was it? It was like, so I could be all over the place sometimes, which is kind of true. Like I like to keep myself busy is what I like to say.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, but I like to work on multiple projects and stuff. So I could see that like you do too. And the easy brings me genius. It's kind of like things kind of come easily to me. And I'm like, I could agree with that, but also like not, because I do think I've worked hard, like to be where I am today. Like I just didn't wake up and like, well, this is it. This is like my life now. Like there's been like overnight stuff that I've like been doing. I've been putting in the work, but how I would say that I do agree with that is that like I think I've told you this, right? How I got my first ever social media client, right? It was through an internship that was unpaid. And then after a few months working with them, it turned into a paid position that was remote. And I was like their social media manager. And since it was remote and I was like, wait, I already have a social media client. What if I just get another one and another one? So I guess like in that way, like it was before I even knew it, I had a social media client before I even tried. Because I was still in my like master's program when I had that internship. So I guess that, but that's just a little. Like I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but that's a
Yeah, I
little
want
bit
to
about
talk
that.
about that too, but I think it's a great note. Like, yeah, I don't know if you remember back in like a couple years ago, Lizzo was like, I'm not an overnight sensation. I've been working for the last 10 years. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah, like a video goes viral or like a song goes viral or like you get your business grows really fast in a short amount of time, but you were laying the groundwork all the time. You were
Hmm.
being consistent working on posting content on TikTok or
Yeah.
getting in the studio, writing songs, or, putting in the hours behind the scenes to build the business and get the systems and the processes up and running. And sometimes I think, like for me too, like it ends up happening a lot easier than, and we were talking about this offline and I was talking about this earlier. Like I end up like fighting so much everything.
Hmm.
And then when I eventually get to the point, I'm like, why am I fighting this so hard? Like clearly it's
Yeah.
presenting itself until I lean into it. So let me just lean into it for once and for all. And then I'm like, why did I not do this sooner? And then it ends
Yeah.
up being so much more
100%.
simple and seamless than I thought it was gonna be. And it's like, why was I fighting it all along? Like, yeah, I kind of, to me too, like it's not as easy breezy for me, but I fell into the job that I have now because I
Hmm.
was willing to take opportunities and risks that other people weren't, because I'm meant to just try different things and reinvent myself over and over. And I
Yeah.
learn each opportunity that comes. And like, I'm literally the type of person, that the serial life experimenter, that when I'm no longer satisfied with something, I start feeling frustrated and get the ick from it. It's like I'm okay to say like, okay, time to close this and start something new. And I just jump from the next
100%.
one no matter what people around me think. And that's really hard and scary. And people don't understand that. And oftentimes people don't like it. But that's just how I operate and it works for me. And like at some point at the end of the day, you just gotta like believe in yourself and trust it and just go for it. And same with you, like you're putting in the work every single day, but
Oh yeah.
because you're doing that, things just come naturally to you and it all works out the way that it's supposed to.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I think that there's this narrative on social media that people just like wake up and work really hard for a few months and then have like this really, successful company, service or product space or whatever it is. And like, that's not really the case because they're not really showing. Some people now, I think, are being more real and showing it more authentically online, but you don't see like the hundreds of nights that they probably spent crying with probably only like a couple dollars in their bank account, right? Really stressed about like if they're gonna get funding, if they, I don't like. I'm thinking like eat dough, like the like
The
raw
cookie.
food dough. Yeah, the cookie dough. Like yeah, they're super successful now, but we don't know like all that hard work that it took that founder to get to where she is now, and like that funding and like that capital and stuff. And like with any other company, like there's just so much that goes behind it. So even like if it feels strange and uncomfortable now, like for example, like posting on TikTok or social media, like but if you want, you want to build a business and like a legacy, you just have to put yourself out there and get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
100%. If you have a
Yeah.
feeling, if you have a gut feeling, you just have to go for it. And you can always pivot. You can hit them with the plot twist whenever you want, whenever it's no longer making you happy or serving you. But if you don't try, you'll never know.
Yeah.
Um, No, but I love that. And going back to what you said, like like your first client, it kind of just happened out of an unpaid internship. And then you were like, wait, I can get more of these and make this a business.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about getting started and how'd you get that unpaid internship to begin with? Like, how'd you know you wanted to work in social media and marketing?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I actually wanted to go to law school. I took the LSAT, and before I even got my results in, I was like, I'm not going. I just got this innate gut feeling that I was not going. I think subconsciously I always knew because my plan always was to go to law school. And when I was 30, start my own like company enterprise is what I was going to call it, or something like that, and use my law degree, kind of like what you're doing, Kayla, right, as like your source of credibility. Like I'm a lawyer, so I'm an authority and I'm credible, right? That was kind of it. My major, though, and that's why I say subconsciously, I think I knew because my major, I could have very easily picked like pre-law or something like
Which,
that,
by
like
the way, to go to law school, you don't need to be a pre-law major, but I digress. Continue.
yeah. Oh, well, I could have done something more, I guess, that made more sense, right? But
Yeah.
I picked like mass communications, like PR communications, media relations, which doesn't really have anything to do with law at all, really, right? So I think I kind of knew, but I was like, whatever. I'm like, it works. It doesn't matter. Cause I'm like, you don't need to be a pre-law major to go to law school. So I was like, I'm going to do that. So that's kind of how I fell into the marketing thing. And then my minor was entrepreneurship, right? So that kind of was already in the
Wait,
works.
I've taken a minor in entrepreneurship. See, it's funny because you said like you want to go to law school when you're 30, you're gonna start your own business. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I
Oh
did.
my God, no way.
And once I was in law school, I realized I'm actually very entrepreneurial and this fits me way better than like the traditional law school path. But like, that's what I thought I wanted. So it's funny that we
Yeah,
swapped.
that is so funny. So then I told my family. My family was like, "What? Like you're gonna do marketing? Like that makes like no one in my family does marketing. My mom's a nurse. My stepdad's like a doctor. No one in my family does marketing, right? My grandmother is entrepreneurial. She always has been, and she's like one of the smartest ladies that I know personally. And anyways, so I told them, and they're like, okay, like honestly, my family's really supportive. So they're like, just try it out, right? Whatever. So I graduated. I went to grad school right immediately after I graduated, and then I was like, but I don't have any experience, and I very soon realized that the marketing industry is a very, very competitive, and in Tampa, it's not like New York City where there's like 100 marketing agencies. It's very, very few, and it is extremely competitive. So I was like, I better work. Like I better like get an internship and basically work my butt off, right? To get that experience that I missed out on in college. I had 2 internships. One was at a marketing agency, a really good one actually, and then this one was like online. And I just found it honestly through like LinkedIn, like really just through the like job board posting websites. And I remember I got an email, and I had a phone interview and then like an in-person interview. And I remember I got both of those interviews for both of those internships in the same week, that email, which was crazy. And that was at the end of 2019. And I like started the internships in early 2020. And it gets even weirder because those 2 internships were in the same like office building in downtown Tampa.
Yeah.
So I was like, what? Because I heard back from them like literally the same week. When I tell you, like one was like on Monday and the other one was on Wednesday. And then I was looking at their addresses, and I'm like, they're in the same office building.
Yeah.
What are the odds? Like I had no idea. To me, I was like, that's a sign. So obviously I did that, and I worked my ass off. Like I worked so hard. I was like really that annoying intern, like real on truly. And then COVID hit and all of that stuff. So everything kind of slowed down and everything. And then after COVID kind of slowed down a little bit was when one of that internship, the remote one, not the one at the marketing agency, offered me that paid full time or paid position. And ever since then, it's just kind of snowballed. And then my family was always really supportive, and they saw that I had a passion for it because I would talk about it for hours on end. And they said to me, we support you and everything. They're like, after 3 months, if you have this consistent ongoing thing, let's make an LLC. So I did that. I have an LLC now for my business, which is great. My business has changed a lot now. So this past February, it's been 3 years. I opened my business, I guess you could say February 17th. So it's been 3 years now. It's flown by, honestly. I still do everything myself, which I'm hoping that will change soon. But I've pivoted a lot. Like I've had a new logo recently, or like last year. I've learned a lot, and I always say every year that passes that I have my business, I don't think I'm like, it's one step further that it's moving me away from corporate, because I've never really ever had a corporate job.
No, that's really cool. And I think that's really great advice for someone who wants to get into this. Like, give yourself a trial period. 3 months,
Yeah.
6 months, a year, whatever you feel comfortable with, of you knowing, like, if I can see that, like, let's say 3 months, and like, it's like, okay, 3 months of business is consistent and I'm making the same or more than what I'm making at a different job. And that's where I really want to be. If, you are hitting the benchmarks that you set for yourself,
Yeah.
take the next step, and you don't have to do it. You don't have to quit your job and start your business and like start from scratch. Like, you can build it
Mm-mm.
slowly along the way behind the scenes. So when you make that jump, it doesn't seem as scary. So I like that your family was like, okay, we support you, but like,
Yeah.
give yourself the safety net, the trial
Yeah.
run, to know if this is really what you even want to do, if it's really going to be worth it. If look at all the things you have to do to legitimize your business. Do you
Yeah.
want it? And I too, like, building my own law firm behind the scenes while I'm working a personal injury firm. And in a few months, I have a feeling that like I'm going to be able to leave a lot sooner than I thought. But at least by the time that I do leave, I'm making a substantial income where I can make that leap and it's not as scary.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And I do want to add to that. Like, I think because I think we are younger, on the younger side, it's, to me, I think it was a little bit less scary for me to do it, right?
Also
Because I
during
was like
COVID,
20.
I think too,
Yeah.
because everybody was kind of doing the
Hmm.
entrepreneurship thing. It wasn't as risky
Yeah.
and unheard of because there wasn't as many jobs available. So it's like,
I know.
go on
Yeah.
your own and then go back to a job if it doesn't work out.
Because I was like, well, I'm 22. If I start my own business and I'm like, let's say it doesn't work out, I'm like, I can still go back and get a job. And if they ask me like, what were you doing during this time, I'll be honest with them, be like, hey, I was starting my own business. I went that route, and I was like, I don't even think that's something to be ashamed of. I
No,
think that's
I don't
something that
think
they
so.
would be like, wow, that is impressive. I'm self-aware now and know that I, want to go back to the corporate route or whatever. But it was a lot easier because it was less risky.
100%. I mean, the same thing for me. If I ever decide that I don't want to have my own firm anymore or my own business, I still have the law degree. I still have the
Hmm.
criteria. I may not have as much experience. I may have to start lower than where I would be, had I gone straight through. But I'm willing to make that choice because I
Yeah.
don't want to do my own thing. And, but I still have the criteria, and I still have some level of experience because I had my own firm, and I did
Exactly.
work for a year in a firm while I was building my own. Like, I have that experience. I'm not starting from scratch. So I
Exactly. And I
think
think
that's really,
that speaks volumes in itself. Just you having like in our resume, I guess you could say, like, that experience that we did have our own firm or in our own company, that speaks volumes, because that tells like an employer, for example, I could do all this kind of stuff that requires to have a business, right? The perseverance, the determination, the mental like stability or whatever. But yeah,
yeah,
100%.
absolutely. And it's like getting a job in an interview. It's all about marketing yourself. You're pitching
Yeah.
yourself at the end of the day, which is what you and I both do in our
Yeah.
businesses. But you're pitching yourself to a company. Why should they hire you? What can you bring to the table? But also, you want to know what they can offer you. So look, you can offer the firm that you have all this experience. Just because it doesn't look the same way that the other people in the firm have that experience doesn't mean that you don't
Yeah.
have experience to begin with. I think that's a good
Yeah.
point.
So something something that I've like recently have not recently but have made the switch to when I'm like talking to a potential new client on the phone or like a video call is they're not really interviewing me. I'm interviewing them, right? I'm telling them why they should work with me. And as the same thing, this can be applied for like a corporate interview, right? It's like, think about it, frame it.
I think of it as sorority recruitment. Like, it's a mutual
Yeah.
selection process.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so true. Yeah. Oh my God,
Like,
it's been
they're
years.
hiring you as their manager, social media or influencer manager, but you're also hiring them as a client.
Yeah, 100%.
You're taking
Yeah.
on that role, and, I think and it's a contractual relationship, there's contractual obligations on both sides, so it makes a lot of sense thinking of it that way,
100%.
you wanna make sure it's that's the whole thing about negotiation too, it's, you wanna make it a more even floor, like bargaining power, you wanna make sure that you're getting something out of the deal too, it's not only one-sided.
It's not, it's definitely not one side. It's definitely a two-way street, you
Yeah,
know?
and that's with anything, friendships, relationships, but especially in
Mhm.
business. But what has it been like? Now you've been doing this for 3 years, it has changed a lot even since I've known you.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about what Girl Socially has become? Walk us through it. Like, it started off, you had 1 client, you're like, I can get a few more." You had a couple clients, you were still working. Like, once you decided to make that jump and go fully on your own and you invested in the software and the logo and,
Mhm.
like, all like, the actual, like, legitimizing the business, what was that like, and how has it evolved to now?
Yeah. Okay, so I'll start with the name because I feel like the name means a lot to me too. So I Okay, first of all, my username on Instagram is girly Gigi. So that is for starters, like Girl Socially. Kind of already sounds similar. And my best friend's name, her name is Sarah, so it starts with an S. And if she was like tomorrow were to tell me, hey, I want in on your business, I would like be like, yes, you're in. I would make her like VP of something because she's super artistic and I would just love working with her and stuff like that. I guess I should preface this though. Before I started the marketing agency, I was also trying to start like an online clothing boutique with her and another friend. It like fell through. We didn't even get inventory. You know what I mean? It was like I don't know what we were trying to do, but I kind of forget that we even tried to do
Yeah,
that.
I
So
didn't
that's
know
kind
that
of
part
how
of the story. I knew the name story, I didn't know about the clothing store.
yeah, I don't know. I completely forget that we had that. The clothing label was going to be called like our like Saged or something like that. Anyways, I have no idea. Um, and that's kind of when I realized that I loved doing kind of this entrepreneurial stuff, like finding this, that, and like because I didn't know anything about retailers or anything like that. So really like researching it and like learning on my own, I loved that. And the same thing with starting your own marketing agency. Like I've never done this before, obviously, so I've had to like learn a lot of things on my own. So the Girl Socially kind of stemmed from that, and then I focus on working with like female-owned businesses. So that's kind of where like the Girl Socially comes into play, and so yeah, it's the G and the S basically. And then I, had my logo, did my website like week by week, kind of like worked on like little tasks every week until at the end of like 6 weeks, I was like, oh my gosh, I have a logo, I have a website, I have the Instagram page for it. I could so
Take
of
it
course
slow,
I
you
went
don't
to,
have to dive right in. You don't have to decide like, "Okay, I'm starting my own business," and do everything in one night. You can
yeah.
take your time with it, and it's gonna change, and it's gonna evolve.
Oh my God. Yes. I've changed my website like a good amount of time. Well, not, I wouldn't say a good amount of times, but like, I've done like two or like three, like, I've changed it up a few times. And then I went on Fiverr and Upwork, applied to jobs there, but also a lot of like Instagram, like cold DMing people and word of mouth. Like now it's usually just word of mouth, honestly, which is really, really great. Like I have a client in Tampa and she just like refers me to like all her business owner friends, which is amazing. And I'm like so grateful for
Hey,
that. But
shout me out if they need help with trademarking their business.
oh my God,
But
actually,
no, Instagram is a form of word of mouth. That's the whole point of influencers'
yeah.
relatability over like a celebrity or an athlete or a model or something. So, word of mouth is that's my goal. I want to build my business through word of mouth too.
100%, 100%. So that's kind of like where that has taken me. And then I've had, like, just for full transparency, a lot of clients let me go, not before their contracts have ended, but like not ended their contracts early. I've let go of some clients because we just weren't a good fit and it was causing me more headache than
That's
not
good of
headache.
you. Good on you to know like it's not worth it. And like I
Yeah.
want to ask you about that, like how to let go of a client once after this. Like definitely want to circle back to that because I feel like that's something that people
Yeah.
don't know how to do.
100%. So it's been a lot of ups and downs. Like if I can't sit here and be like, it's been so easy. Like, this is amazing.
I think if
No,
someone says that it's been all rainbows and sunshine, they're full of shit, and I don't wanna hear what they have to say anyway
yeah, like,
because they're lying.
there's been times where I'm like, oh my goodness, like, do I just like let all of this go? Like, I truly have thought that, like
Oh, yeah.
and I like my boyfriend. I'm so lucky for him because I'm like, I don't know if I could do this. Like, like in tears. Like, I don't know. But that's needless to say that that's why I was saying earlier. Like, people don't see that part because I'm not going to show that on Instagram because I think there's a time and place for everything. Especially my agency Instagram, I like to keep it professional, and I don't want to really show that, right? Because I just don't want to put that there as of now. Like, I'm in this place where I am in my business right now. I don't want to show that. Maybe a few months or a few years down the line, I could share that story, like that vulnerable piece of information and stuff.
That's why I like having the podcast because you can share it here where it's in a
Yeah,
like, if people ask, you'd be like, "Go listen to this," and they could hear it from you here, but you don't have to necessarily bring it onto your own page. Whereas me, I'm trying to market my firm on my same personal page and also
yeah,
be an influencer because I just don't want another account. I already have 4.
yeah. No, do not
Like,
get
I
another
don't know how to
account.
do this.
That is a lot of accounts. I don't know how you do that. I'm like up to here with like two personal accounts, like my personal and my business, and then like my client accounts. I'm like, I can't have any more accounts on my phone. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
no, I
like,
have
I'll go
4 on my
crazy.
phone. I'm like, "I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. No more."
No, 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 no more. Yeah, no, 100%. So then I definitely want to talk about how like we did that. I brought in influencer management because
Yes.
I was not into that when I first started. And then so now like a few months, or I guess a year or whatever passed, and influencers like TikTok starts becoming all talk and everything. And I love TikTok, so I like was on there. I was like, yes, TikTok, and then I was like, oh, like talent managers, influencer manager. That's so interesting. And I was like, I learned a little bit about it here and there and stuff like that. I've always been really fascinated by like influencing in general. Like when I was younger, I really, really wanted to be an influencer so badly, but I got in my own way. And that's a whole nother story. You know what I mean? Um, but I did what I could as in terms of research. And I say that because there's not that much information about influencer management out there in general. So when I say I had to learn a lot on my own, that's what I've been doing. But I got in contact with my first ever influencer. And I asked him, like, hey, are you looking for management by any chance? She said, no, we kept in touch. And I was like, hey, like, I'm going to learn everything I can in 3 months. In 3 months, like, let's start working together. And she's like, yes, deal. That happened. And now I have 3 influencers, which is really nice. Basically, what I do, like Kayla, you know this, but like negotiate brand deals. I do like brand outreach, kind of like hold them accountable, like content calendar wise, and like accountable to their social media goals and things like that. It's really fun. I really enjoy it personally. And it's very, very different from where I first started with social media, like
Yeah,
marketing
can you talk
management.
about the difference between influencer management and social media management? I don't think people they hear those terms, but they don't really know what the difference is.
Yeah, 100%. So I think also a lot of people don't know the difference between like a influencer manager and a social media manager. So a social media manager is for a brand, a company, a business, right? And that is when I like will create or I'll create the strategy, create the content, the post, and post on their social media accounts as the brand. And then influencer manager, I never post for the influencers. I never even create the content for the influencers. So in that sense, it's very hands off, right? Like they're the creative aspect of the content creation here. They're the creative part. I am more of like what I say is like the admin part of their business, and they're the creative part of their business. So I do like all the email. Like I guess if I guess you could say all the boring work, but I don't really think it's boring. I actually think
Yeah.
it's kind of fun, honestly. But like all the logistics, emails, the organization, the reviews, the approvals, I do all of that, the back end stuff. Whereas like for again, social media manager is I'm doing everything for a brand. I'm just not like, there's no, and for a brand like social media managers, there's no like negotiating rates or anything like that because there's just like not really that unless you're doing influencer marketing, but that's a completely different ball game. That's because of the difference. And then I would say like but that's the main difference. And I like both. I really, really, truly like both. So I like social media marketing because of the strategy part of marketing. I love the strategy part of marketing. It's like kind of my favorite thing, I want to say. And then for the influencer management, I like the relationship building with brands the
Yeah.
most. I think it's really nice when I get to like communicate back and forth with a brand and they get to know me as, because this is like dependent on every, I think, manager, right? But some of them will communicate as the influencer and some will communicate like, hey, I'm, Gigi, I'm, so and so's manager. And I introduce myself because I want them to know that it's me speaking to them. And so it's just really nice. I think it's really nice building that communication and that relationship because it's like the whole part of influencer marketing, I think, which is like, influencers, it's all really just relationship building and network building.
Yeah. No, I think it's cool. Like that's why I love having the influencer management side and then the law firm side similar to you, like two sides to the business or well, for me,
Yeah.
different businesses, but like I love the back end admin logistical side of influencer management,
Yeah.
but I also get to be creative and work alongside them
Mm-hmm.
on the legal side, the contract and the trademark side. It's not as glamorous and fun as social media management, content creation, but it's not my forte. Like I enjoy that on like the legal side and using my skills there, whereas you use your skills to do the strategy and the content creation. And like you get to have
Yeah.
both sides of your brain and like two different sets of skills, and they work together in a lot of ways. But
They
you get
do.
to do
Yeah. 100%.
going back to so like how do you like let's say you for social media management you get a client, like how does a deal work? Like if someone wants to get into this and they don't really know much about social media management and what that entails, like you reach out to a client like, hey, like do you need help with social media management? I would love to help you out with this. And they say yes, and you have a consultation and you're going to go sign the deal. What does a typical social media management deal look like? And then how does that relationship go? And let's say like you guys decide not to continue for whatever reason, the relationship broke down, it didn't work out, it wasn't what you were looking
Yeah.
for. How do you let them go? Like walk me
Oh my
through
God.
kind of like the life cycle of a social media management project.
Oh my God. I love this question. I love this question. So there
Sure,
is,
I
okay.
wish I
So
hopefully this episode will be on YouTube so people can watch your reaction as I said that.
I love this question because he's so excited. Okay. So let's say, do you want to go the route that I message a brand or they message me?
Either one.
Okay. So let's say I message a brand, right? Or it'll be easy if they message me. So they message me. Normally, I'll just give you my, I guess, secrets, I guess, if you will. But recently, I've really upped my like marketing game, like a lot, I feel like. So, and I want to get people in the DMs as much as possible. That is like my goal. And so they'll like DM me, right? Because I entice them some way, right? And so they'll DM me and I'm like, hey, like, thank you so much for messaging me. So excited to chat about X, whatever they message me about, right? Like on my story or something. And then I like really just try to get to know like where they're at. This is like if they're a business owner, obviously, because I guess if not, it wouldn't really work. But my ideal client is obviously a business owner. I want to know like where they're at in their business, what are they looking for, and what are they struggling with, right? And then we have that conversation a little bit in the DMs. Like I don't just directly straight up ask them like, what are you struggling with in your business? I just kind of like, hey, like where are you at in your business? Tell me more about your business. Questions like that to like warm them up a little bit. And then they will tell me, they'll open up and tell me. And I will basically just be like, I actually think my social media management service is the perfect fit for you, right? Would you like to know more? And then they obviously, if they say no, then that's just it, I guess. But if they say yes, right, which that's the goal, I'll kind of give them what they want, or like I'll kind of like, give them some options. With social media management, it's very different, right? Because I have 3 packages for social media management, but that's kind of more on the back end side of the business. Like no one really knows that, but I have 3 just to make my life easier, but it's obviously customizable to some extent. And then they'll say like, okay, this sounds good. Like
What's your
whatever, we
typical
move on.
package? Like what's the most common package? What do you offer?
Instagram and TikTok is my most typical. Like those are the 2 platforms that I always suggest pretty much any business, unless it's completely like different. Like you're like a super random business. Maybe I'll change that. But it's Instagram and TikTok is like my go-to. And then we post on Instagram 3 times a day and every day on TikTok. That is like my ideal like that. If you have that, then I'm like, I feel really good about that. But also with social media management, sometimes they're like, I don't want to do that. Maybe because it's budget, or maybe they're like, oh, I don't want to be on TikTok. Like that's too much work. Because obviously with the TikTok, like the business owner does need to have some level of commitment to it because they need to show up on their page. But obviously, like if they don't say yes to TikTok, then it's so hard because I like don't have that much control. Like I'm only focused on one area of the business, right? So it's like I can't be held accountable, I guess you could say, right, for the growth or the success of your business because I'm only focusing on one platform posting twice a day. Well, what do you expect? You know what I mean? That makes it that much harder. So that is kind of that. So I'm always gonna like get like go for that package for them. And then I don't do sales calls anymore for social media clients, only influencers, because I don't think there's a need to anymore. And if we could just have the like close the conversation in the DMs, that's just like what I'm gonna do. Like I just don't feel like there's a need to get on sales calls anymore. And so I'll send over the proposal, the contract. We'll get that signed. They pay the first invoice, and then we get started.
How do
The
you
first
price
month,
it? Like, you don't have to give your exact numbers, but like on average, like where you started out, how do you price it? And how do you know when to kind of like, all right, time to raise my prices?
so I started out. I had a client paying me like $300 for a full social media package thing. When I first started out, it was terrible, and that's from the clients that I had to like let go. It just like that was like so draining because I was doing so much work for literally $300 a month. And I was with that client for a while too. And so they were like a food app, basically, like food facts. You could like scan the barcode and you know what I mean. But that was that. And then it was just very, very, very draining and very like overwhelming for me because I had like some clients that are paying me a little bit more. So obviously I was like happier doing their work. And I'm like, if you are not happy with your prices, that's going to make your job, you're going to
Yeah, you have
start
to
to
be
dread your
comfortable
job.
with your pricing for sure.
Yeah, 100%. So I now charge like somewhere around like 1,000, to like 2,000. Like that is like kind of where I'm at right now.
And you have the
Obviously,
experience to back it up. You have a portfolio you could demonstrate to back it up, which is
yeah,
good. But for someone starting out, where do you think they should start? You saying
I
300
think
too low, so where should they?
Yeah, I think you should be at 700, right? For like, let's say you're doing 3 to 4 posts a week or something like that, like 700 is kind of where you should start. That's where I started. Like, that's kind of, the 300 was not like a normal thing. That was just like, I just needed a client kind of thing. So I said yes to it, but my rate was like 700 at the time.
So how, okay, for
Yeah.
that client that was like not serving you, you were very overwhelmed. How do you, if you've had a long-term relationship with them, how
Hmm.
do you present like, hey, my rates have gone up and they turn it down so then it's easier to let go, or you just kind of like, this isn't working anymore?
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. So what I do, so before at the time too, my contracts for social media management were like 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months. Like I was also like giving people way too many options, which I've learned now. Don't give people too many options because it's like confusing for them. And those people are always going to choose the 3 months because it's like less
Cheaper.
risky. It's less risky. Even if they want to resign, it's less risky, right? And again, that was more work on me because every 3 months I had to resend a proposal and a contract, and I was risking them not signing it, right? So I was like, oh my God, this is like, it's so time consuming. So I don't do that anymore. My contract lengths are only 6 months. You don't like it? Sorry. You do? Amazing. Like it's only 6 months. Like we're only doing this twice a year. So anyways, I told them, I was like, hey, my prices have raised, right? Because I've been doing this I was doing this like for a year and a half at that point, I want to say. So I was like, have more experience under my belt. You started with me when I had no experience. That's why you're like, priced at this rate. But now my prices are raising, and they were like, I just don't have the money, or literally like money at all to pay you or like pay that. Like it was to the point where they almost like didn't pay me my last like $300 that month because they were claiming that they were like not going bankrupt, but they were just like making no sales or whatever. So, and I'm like, I think their deliverables is also like only 2 posts a week with no Instagram story, no TikTok. And I'm like, what do you expect? I think their account also had like 183 followers. And I'm like, I didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? Like I was trying everything. Like I was putting everything in those 2 posts. I'm like, well, that's all I have. I only have 2 posts to make this good and to make this work. But that's so unrealistic. You can't really expect to see results only doing that. There was no email marketing, no text marketing,
Yeah,
no
they weren't
Pinterest.
willing to invest fully into the business, so it didn't make
Yeah,
sense for you to be there anymore.
100%. So they, we just kind of let them go and everything like that. And yeah, sometimes some clients will. I've had another client. It was time to do the like resign, and they were just like, hey, like I kind of, want someone, like I just don't want this anymore, kind of thing. This was for like a deodorant company, and well, they were actually like, we're so glad you graduated school already. Congrats on that. It was so nice working with you. And I was like, I graduated my master's like in October and it was December. It was just kind of weird. I was like, okay. But I was like, yeah. So I was kind of glad to let them go too. Whatever, But
Have you
yeah.
ever had to break up with the brand that you actually enjoyed working with?
It's a good question. Yes, I have. I'm sure I'm trying to think. I know there's one, but I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's another one.
What's that like?
Yeah.
When like they come to you and you're thinking it's going really well, but they don't want to re-sign with you, or they think it's going really well and you're like, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah. Okay, that's a great question. So obviously, I like it. Obviously, does hurt a little bit, right? But I have to say, like, no, or like a rejection is a redirection kind of thing. And I have to like look at it like, well, at least I even had, right, the opportunity to work with a company that, like, let's say was an ideal client or that I really enjoyed working with, right? Because there's been times where you work with clients that they're not ideal clients, right? But you're just like, let me just take this client on because it's business, right? So yeah, but I'm like, well, at least I've had the opportunity and I know what, like, I kind of, when you do that, you kind of have to assess like what went wrong and analyze and like just better prepare that for the future. So whenever you do get that next ideal client, you could like not make those same mistakes. You know what I mean? I'm also just like very honest with myself. And I know when, like, let's say I've messed up where like, oh, I could have seen that. I could have seen where that went wrong. You know what I mean? Okay, well, now how do I do that so it doesn't happen next time, right? Well, maybe that's be more vocal, right? Maybe make your services more of like an into like a better part in their business where it's like, what we need her services, right? Like
Yeah.
she's like kind of almost irreplaceable at this point. So that's kind of like my little take on that.
No, I think that's super important because I think so many, like the ego thing. You don't have an ego. You're like, all right, it didn't work out. So sad to see you go. Thank you so much for the feedback. And you implement into your business so you don't make the same mistake for the next time. And you never know. They
Yeah,
may come back, they may not, but at least you learn from it. And like the rejection is
yeah,
redirection. Too many people have an ego about it and then they're not willing to learn. Like, okay, you made a mistake, own it.
yeah.
I make
And
mistakes
also,
every single day. I'm
I
still
know,
learning, but if you don't learn from it, you're never gonna get better. We talked about this before, like with friendships. If a friend doesn't tell you that you messed up and that you hurt their feelings, you will never know and be able to fix it. They can't resent you for it. And if they do, then that's not a friend you want anyway. Same thing. You don't want a
100%.
friend who isn't gonna tell you that you messed up. They're just gonna let you go. If they can't give you constructive criticism for you to learn from, then you don't want them as a client anyway.
100%. And listen, like at the end of the day, right? We're all business owners. Like I work with business owners, right? So everyone has to make a decision that at the end of the day supports their business, right? So I hate to say it, but a dog eat dog world. Like if you're not giving them what they want, I'm sorry, but it's time to go, right? And I completely understand that because if the roles were reversed, I would be doing the same thing. You know what I mean? And I'm not one to like, you know, kind of like burn bridges. Like if especially if it was like a good relationship and stuff, like that's perfectly fine. Like I'm perfectly okay with that because I understand as a business owner, like with
You
feelings
get
aside, like I understand where they're coming from, you know? And I feel like that's really important because being a female entrepreneur, I think sometimes we could get our emotions get the best of us a little bit. So I think it's really important to be like, this is just the name of the game, right? A client I've had people be like, I don't want your services. Like, hey, that's okay. It's okay. I'll move on to the next one. Like, don't like
Yeah.
I don't care. Move on. Yeah, sure. Maybe I'm sad for a little bit. I'm like, oh crap, I really wanted them as a
But
client. But I'm like, at the end
everything
of the day,
happens for a reason. There's a reason they weren't meant to be your client. And I think it's important that you have that mentality of, it's good you brought up being a female entrepreneur. Like, what has been your biggest struggle with entrepreneurship? Like that it has taught you about yourself, and something that you, like, a transformation you've seen since you chose to become an entrepreneur.
that's a good question. So I think that I think I struggle most with like getting in my own way. I think.
Same.
Yeah, and sometimes I like do imposter syndrome. Sometimes I feel like I'm like, is this really like, am I really gonna like, is this like, am I really gonna get like the life that I want? Um, but I think that's just me being like a critic on myself, honestly. But I know like what it's taught me that I persevere a lot. I kind of thing like I am like I kind of just shake it off. Like tomorrow's a new day. And I remind myself of why I started this in the first place.
That's the key. You always have to have a why. That's my biggest piece of advice for anyone going into law school, but also just in general. Like, why are you doing it at the end of the day? Like, entrepreneurship's not easy. Nothing is
Yeah,
easy. Why are you doing what you're doing? That's important.
yeah. And I always have to remind myself, like, I like wanted this, right? I was like, this is what I asked for. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I decided to do this on my own, right? Like, no one forced me to do this, right? So I'm like, it's a little bit of tough love. I'm like, Gigi, like, you have to man up, kind of. Like, sorry.
Yeah.
You have to
No,
man up. And
I'm
then,
the same way. I'm the same way.
yeah. But I do get in my own head a lot. Like, I'm always like, and I compare myself a lot to there's so many marketing agencies, and like, I'm like, oh my God, this is,
But there's someone out there for everyone, and there's a piece of the pie for everybody. There's multiple
yeah.
pies. Doesn't have to be the same pie.
100%, 100%. And something that I've learned is that, listen, you have to be confident in your
You're
business and your
selling yourself.
services.
You're pitching yourself to them.
Yeah, people love that, right? If I like, let's say I go up to someone in the DMs, I'm like, I want you to be a client. Like, this is what I could do for you. Like, blah blah blah. Like, my clients see an extra return in
It's a
3 months.
problem they don't even know they had. Yeah.
They'll be like, oh shoot, okay, yeah, maybe I do want to work with you. Let's schedule a call. But I'm like, oh hey, like maybe like yada yada.
They're not
Okay,
confident in you because you're not
no, like
confident.
yeah, you have to be assertive. Honestly, that's something else that being a business owner has like taught me, just to be more assertive, like in also my personal life, like about my feelings, my thoughts on things, my opinions. Yeah, and like I've noticed also too, I just like take charge in a lot of situations in my personal life, right? Because like as a business owner, I'm like, okay, I have to do this, like these tasks, I have to accomplish this. And then in my personal life, I see that bleeding in, because I kind of like tackle all my personal life as it's like my business as well. So I'm like, oh, we need to do this before we like, are able to go on this trip or something. Like I am very action oriented, I guess.
Yeah. Those are some great lessons. I think there's this saying, like, it's not business. It's not personal. It's business. I think business is
Yeah.
inherently personal, and
Yeah.
you bring a lot of your personality into your business. That's why there's enough to go around for everybody, because you bring something to the table that, you're going to attract a different, like, influencer management. We're friends and we're both managers, and my clients and I know yours. Like, there's a reason why your client signed with you versus me. Like,
Yeah.
there's something that you offer that they want. And, there's something that I offer that my clients want. They might be similar,
Yeah.
but our approaches are ultimately unique because we're unique people. And there's enough to go around for everybody. Like, everyone has a unique
100%.
approach, and it's gonna be okay. And it's personal. Your approach is unique to you. And that's why you're gonna get certain clients in social media management that another agency won't get, or a certain marketing budget, the caliber of the
Hmm.
content, or because you're only a one-man team and you don't have people, so you can't do more, so you can't charge more. But if they
Yeah.
want more, they're going to go to someone who can provide that. And as you
100%.
grow and as they grow, and the relationship will evolve over time, but it is inherently personal, but it's also, yeah, like, at the end of the day, it is also a business, and you need to be look out for yourself and look out for your business, because at the end of the day, the only person who can do that is you. And same thing with the business owner. They're looking out for their best interest. And if it's not aligned, it's not aligned, and that's okay.
No, 100%. And like you were saying, kind of like people will be more attracted or like resonate more with like your business or my business, right? And that's so true. And that's why I kind of like stopped working with businesses that the owners are not willing to get on stories or like be on TikTok, because I think the founder's story, right,
That's the whole
speaks
point of the
volumes.
business. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, that's gonna call in the kind of people that either like you and resonate with your values, or vice versa, the kind of people that you want to call in, right? So, because like, let's say there's this skincare brand, right, and the owner does not want to be on in the TikToks, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll be in the TikToks. That makes no sense. That I'm not the owner. That's super
You don't
confusing,
want to be the
right?
face of the brand. Yeah, you want, if it's a skincare brand, it's about your skin. You started this company because there was a problem in your,
Yeah,
so you need
a
to be the.
hun- yeah, and this happened with me with one of my clients. Like the owner's like, no, I'm not going to. And I'm like, no, but it'll be way better. I promise you. During the TikToks, like, no, I don't want to. And I'm like, but that makes. I'm like, yeah, I could be in the TikToks all day long, right? But
I can't tell your story the way you can.
I, yeah, I can't tell your story. I wasn't there, right? I didn't experience it with you. I don't know. You could tell me why, right? But why would I be telling your story on TikTok? That makes no sense, right? So I stopped working with that, because it's so true. You're going to just attract the kind of people that you want and that are attracted to you and your vibe, right? So especially us, it's like we're not selling a product, right? So people are working with us one on one, especially just now, right? So they better like you, like they better like
Yeah.
you. So
On the
they're gonna,
influencer management side, yeah, it's a personality fit for sure. On the brand side, they they are building a brand, and the brand has a voice, but they need to make sure that you fit the voice of the brand. So at the end of the day, you still need to align with the business owner.
100%. Yes, that's what, and that's kind of goes back to like why I don't work with like businesses that men own, really, because I don't think I have that tone of voice. Just to be straight up, I don't think I have that kind of voice, and I'm not going to be probably passionate about that. Like women-owned businesses are like skincare brands, med spas. Obviously, there's clothing boutiques, there's Pilates studios. The list goes on, right? I could relate to all of those. If primarily their target audience is also going to be females, which I know the psychology behind women's buying, the purchasing behaviors. That's why I chose them. One of the reasons why I chose them to be like my target audience.
That's a good point. How do you choose your clients? Like if you're saying you slide into their DMs, but if let's say in 1 week 3 new clients come to you and you only have a spot to take on one new client, what are you looking for in a client, or what makes you want to slide into someone's DMs?
Yes. So I love like business entrepreneurs like that they're showing up for themselves and for their business every day. Here's those business owners that are like on their stories. Okay, not in an annoying way, but just like getting on their story and like being like, hey guys, like this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm up to, like yada yada. Like I just love that energy, right? Because that's like they're showing up for their community, right? They're showing up for their business. So it's showing up for their business. They're striving for success. They're go getters and ambitious, right? They're like the doers and the dreamers. Um, and obviously, like what is the deciding one of the deciding factors for me too is like, well, what product or service am I more interested in? Is that like, let's say we have I don't know, a planner, right? Let's say like a really cool planner. Cool. I like planners. Let's say one is a med spa, right? Let's say another one is I don't even know, permanent jewelry, whatever. I also kind of think honestly, like longevity. Well, which owner am I going to be able to probably work with the longest, right? I also look into like their budget. Which one told me that they want more, and it's honestly going to probably pay me more, right? Again, because this is a business, so I kind of think about that. So it's gonna be like who I vibe with the best, who is going to be here and like for the long game, right? Because like if I could have a client for 3 years rather than just 6 months, I'd rather take on the 3 year client.
Yeah, because again, it's a relationship. You're building a relationship with
Yeah.
them.
So I would kind of just like think about that,
That's a good framework to look at. Yeah, I do the same thing with influencer management. And even trademark clients and contract clients, like if I already have a feeling they're not going to be a recurring client, like I'm not going to automatically say no to them, but there has to be some other enticing factor. Because I put so much of myself into my work, and I want to make sure that
Mm-hmm.
I'm being compensated for that, not just financially, but also like being matched at my level.
100%. Like I've had like businesses that I've worked with that I just like did not also like understand their business model right at all. Like I was like, what is this again? It was like, for example, one was like a concierge type of thing where they help companies. It was almost like a consulting firm, but they didn't call themselves a consulting firm. It was really, really, really confusing, right? Again, back when I started, and I struggled like coming up with like their marketing strategy because I didn't even understand what
Yeah,
it
you have to
was.
be interested and know kind of, and be willing to learn. If you don't know already, be willing to get your hands dirty with the business for sure.
Yeah, 100%. So I kind of like also just try to get myself in industries that I am, or businesses that I'm like already a consumer of, right? Understand, I'm willing to learn, I'm passionate about that. So yeah, and like you totally said, like if it's a space that I'm not familiar with, like, well, let me, how, like, can I learn that information? Can I learn that jargon, those terms, so I could like, use that tone or that language in the content and in the copy and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So now that you have two sides of the business and they both make money in different ways and they kind of take different skill sets, how do you structure a week? Do you do both in the same day? Do you have like Monday, Wednesday, Friday is one side of the business, Tuesday, Wednesday is another, or like Fridays is admin day and content day is Wednesday? Like, how do you like walk us through a week in your life
Yeah.
running your business?
So as of now, right, because I could do this, right, I maybe if I get more clients, I maybe won't be able to structure my day like this. But as for now, I do work on all of my clients. I have 3 social media clients and 3 influencers. So I work on those all 6 clients every day, even if it's for 30 minutes. I will touch. So what I kind of say is like I'm touching base on their accounts on a daily basis.
I don't think that if I got on another client that I would be able to do that. But
Yeah.
obviously I'll have to play around and see. But as for now, I do every client every day.
Yeah. That makes sense. No, I'm kind of at the point where I touch a little bit of everything I do every day, but I need one thing off my plate so I can have more structure because it's a lot. It's overwhelming. But I definitely see the value in everything. The way that I'm doing it right now works for right now. It's not sustainable, but it's the necessary evil to get to where I want to be. And same.
Yeah. 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 Same. I don't think mine is sustainable at all, honestly, because I only give myself this much time a day to work on my business, which is not a lot. And then add in, I got a dog on top of that. So I'm, taking him for
And you
walks.
know, in your personal life, you have a relationship, your family, yourself. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot more that goes to it. And that's the one downside of entrepreneurship that I think people forget about. It's you're still a human at the end of the day.
Mhm.
Like you don't the buck stops with you. Like you don't leave the office and like work turns
Yeah.
off. Like even if you work specifically only at a coffee shop and you don't work from home, you're still the businesses appear. So like you're always going, you're always thinking of new ideas. Texts, emails are coming in, and you may not answer them until tomorrow because it was after 5 p.m. But like your mind's still running. So
My mind, yeah, 100%. And so the end of last year, honestly, too, I was like getting just the minimum of work done. Well, okay, not the minimum, but like I was just like doing what I had to do for my client work, right? Because I was traveling back home for the holidays, and my family, my mom and my parents live in Georgia, right? So I was like, and I took time off, right? So I was just like getting the post up, I was just getting the content approved. Like I wasn't doing anything extra for my business either. I was also just like feeling a little bit uninspired at the moment. And I'm just like a creative at heart, right? So I just know like, for example, I just like, if I'm not going to push it, like if I don't have any ideas running, right, I'm just like not going to push myself. But when I have creative ideas flowing in, I really lean into that. So now I have a lot of creative ideas running, right, in my head. So I'm taking advantage of that.
because also I think because you're making time to have time off, so the creative
Yeah.
juices are flowing again. I'm the same.
Yeah, 100%. And something that I also like do want to mention though, because I think it kind of relates to this topic, is that I've like tried. Well, not trying. Well, I guess yes, trying is the right word, but I try to do like something for myself every day. It could be little, right? It could be reading a
I'm the
chapter of
same.
a book. It could be watching like a TV show on Netflix, like just something that is for me aside from work. Now, aside from my dog Benji, right? Just for me. Like that could be a face mask. These 15 minutes are just for me. And I try to do something like that every day. Like today, I went to a workout class at like 10:30 or whatever. Amazing. That 1 hour, those 50 minutes, that was for me. Not work related, just for me.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a great tip of trying to find time for you in every single day. I love my slow mornings and
Oh
having my time in the sunshine.
I love that.
That's my time. If I can get more than that, even better, but like that's a
I
non-negotiable.
know, I know. So I kind of have been struggling with my morning routine, which I'm not a big fan of. I love like a good morning routine, and I had a really good one in place before Benji. Um, and I'll kind of walk you through it, but I would wake up at like 7:15 because I don't start work until 9, so that gave me plenty of time to kind of like do my stuff, right? And that would be just like I would wake up, go to the bathroom, do my skincare, ice roll, love ice roll in my face. I use like the Skinny Confidential one. And then I would, have my greens, like my green juice before coffee, and I would do like a meditation or like like self affirmations, like write like a few pages on a piece of paper, and then I would get ready for the day while I listen to a podcast and then start my work day. It was ideal. Now I have a puppy, so it's not really like that. I'm kind of like running around all over the place because he wakes up at 6:30, so I have to take him out downstairs to use the bathroom. So my alarm goes off at 6:30. I go to the bathroom and then I get him, do that, and then at 6:45 he has to have breakfast. So he's having breakfast, and then I have to take him outside to use the bathroom again. And then he's hyper, right? Because he just woke up and
Who wants to play? Yeah.
he wants to play. So my morning routine is a little bit all over the place. If I get to do my self affirmations, that's a good day. That's good. If
Yeah.
I get to ice roll, that's even a better day. So it's been getting better, and I am trying to make it a habit to like fit it in so I don't lose that part of my morning. But it's been hard. It's been definitely like an adjustment.
Yeah. I'm a big morning routine person. I need to work on shortening my morning routine. And
Oh
like,
no, I like
'cause
love.
I'm just so lazy in the morning. Like I like taking my time, but then like I'm like, fuck, I've been out here for an hour and I'm answering emails and I'm working, I'm doing stuff, but like
No, I love it. And but something before that I will say though, like my morning routine before my puppy did not include me going outside, right? Because I didn't have a need to. But I was listening to a podcast of like this holistic wellness coach or something, and she was saying people should incorporate like 10 minutes of sunlight in their morning routine because that kind of like
that truly has changed my life. Actually, I don't know if it's the same podcast, but I heard that a while ago and I started doing it and I was like, during the bar exam, I started doing it during the bar exam because I needed to get out of the studying. Game changer.
Oh my gosh. Well, maybe it was. And so I've been doing that with my puppy because I take him outside. So I'm like, oh, so that's good, right? Because I'm like going outside, like getting some like walk steps in, whatever. So I have to give credit where it's due.
Yeah. It all everything happens for a reason, even if we're a little sleep deprived while we do it.
Oh my god, I was like so tired when I first got Benji. I was like, I'm so tired. I was just exhausted, and I felt a lot of, I guess you could say, entrepreneurial guilt. Like how there's
The
mom guilt.
mom guilt, yeah. My
No,
mom is probably laughing right now. Just she's like, imagine when you have kids.
yeah, I felt. Well, I was like, oh my god, like I was like, I'm not giving you my business enough time. Like I was like, I'm like, and I was like, okay, relax. It's not the end of the world, right?
Yeah, you're not a brain surgeon. Your business won't die.
Yeah, it's okay if I have to take my dog out 15 minutes outside. It's totally fine. But I was like freaking out, but now I'm like, it's no one. My clients aren't not going to even realize I'm gone. Like
Yeah. No, you gotta. That's super important that you make time for yourself any way that you can, because at the end of the day, like like we said, like the only person who has your business's best interest at heart is you, and you're the only person who has your best interest at heart. That's so hard to say.
It's a mouthful. Yeah, I know.
But no, this was incredible. Before I ask where people can find you, what's the biggest piece of advice you have for someone who wants to go into entrepreneurship, specifically social media management?
Just follow your gut. It's like way easier to get started than you think, honestly, because there's a lot of resources online, especially nowadays with TikTok. So just follow your gut. If that's something that you're being called and pulled towards doing, just go for it, right? What's the worst that can happen? Probably it's not that bad at the end of the day. So I would just say just go for it if that's what you're feeling called to do.
Yeah, I actually just posted a reel about that. Jay Shetty saying like, "What's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten? What's the worst that could happen?" Or no, what if what if it could be even better than you imagined? What's the worst advice you've ever gotten? Be realistic. And I was like, that hit, because you really just never know. It could be so much better than you imagine, and you never know what could happen.
Yeah, and like it doesn't have to be perfect from the beginning. And it won't be perfect from the beginning. Like it literally won't. So just get started. Go on Canva, make an okay logo, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. Go on Canva, do something, pick some brand colors, and just go for it. Honestly,
Yeah, launch fast and adjust.
Yeah, 100%. That's my biggest tip.
Perfect. Where can everybody find you if they want to work with you? Where can they reach out?
They could find me at Girl Socially on TikTok and Girly Gigi on Instagram.
Perfect. I will link everything in the show notes. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much. I had so much fun.